Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into the life and times of Renjie today.
A fascinating figure.
Oh, yeah. Really a key player in Chinese history, especially during that Tang Dynasty period.
Absolutely.
You know, most folks think of the Tang Dynasty, it's like golden age, right? Culture, arts, all that.
Right, right. Prosperity.
But then you throw Empress Wu Zetian into the mix and, well, things get interesting.
Gets complicated, yeah.
That's an understatement. So we're going to uncover kind of how Renjie navigated all that, the whole mess.
Those treacherous waters.
And the cool part, we'll see how his strategies back then can actually help us navigate, like, ANY workplace today.
Oh, it's surprising how relevant his story is, even now. I mean, his main goal was to restore the Tang Dynasty.
Right, get them back in power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with Empress Wu Zetian calling the shots, well, that was a tough task.
Yeah, I bet. Like playing chess against a grandmaster or something.
Oh, at least. And one of Renjie's first big moves, he made sure Li Xian, the rightful heir, got named Crown Prince.
Smart move, but probably just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Absolutely. He still had to deal with Wu Zetian's nephews, the infamous two Wus.
Ah, yes, the two was always causing trouble, weren't they?
Oh, they had ambitions of their own, that's for sure. Wu Changzi, now he was impulsive, power-hungry. Like when Li Jian became crown prince, story goes, Wu Changzi was so curious he got sick and died.
Wow. Talk about not handling things well. Definitely not a good workplace strategy.
No, definitely not. But then there's Wu Sanzi, much more cunning.
Uh-oh. Sounds dangerous.
He was. Master of playing the long game. Seemed like he didn't care about power, but behind the scenes.
He was pulling strings.
Oh, absolutely. Building influence. Renjie knew he was the bigger threat.
So Renjie had to, like, tailor his approach for each of them.
Exactly. Like today, you wouldn't talk to your boss the same way you talk to a coworker.
Right. Got to read the room, figure out how everyone ticks.
Exactly what Renjie did. He understood people. And then there's the whole time factor. Seems like his plan was to just outlast Wu Zetian.
Wait her out, basically.
Yeah, but she was, well, a force of nature.
Hmm.
I mean, there are stories about her white hair turning black, new teeth growing in.
What? Really?
Now, the teeth were probably just wisdom teeth popping up late.
Oh, okay.
But you see the symbolism, right? Like defying age, clinging to power. She had the best health care, lived a lavish life.
And kept everyone on their toes.
You could say that. Renjie must have realized waiting might not work.
Like being stuck in a job, hoping things will change, but realizing you got to make a move.
Exactly. And Renjie was all about proactive planning. So, faced with his time crunch, he came up with a brilliant solution. He started training successors, like building a whole team of mini Renjies.
Wow, that's thinking ahead.
Oh, yeah. He picked guys like Zhang Jianzi, Yuan Fan, Yuan Shuji, Ku Swanwei.
All stars, huh?
Each known for honesty, integrity. And they hated how the two was operated.
So it wasn't just mentoring, it was building a whole faction.
You got it. Like building your network and your career, people who have your back.
Good.
This is where we see Renjie's genius.
Like practical lessons we can learn from.
All these challenges, never gave up. Think about it. You ever had a tough boss or a project that just seemed impossible?
Oh, yeah.
Renjie's perseverance. Powerful example. Having that long-term vision commitment.
Did he have one of those inspirational posters like, hang in there, kitty?
Maybe, maybe. But jokes aside, he also had incredible emotional intelligence. Knew how to read people, who to trust, how to persuade.
Like being the best communicator in the room.
Absolutely. Just as important today as back then. It's not just toughness. It's being smart about people.
Like in a meeting, knowing when to push your ideas, when to listen.
Exactly. Renjie was known for being what they called water-like.
Water-like?
Yeah, principled, but flexible. Adaptable without compromising his values. Not rigid, but not spineless either.
So, like, imagine you've got this tough client, right? Super demanding.
You can meet their needs, stay true to your company, your own ethics.
Find that balance, that flow.
Exactly. It makes you think, where do you fall on that spectrum? Rigid or adaptable? How's that affecting your work?
Good question.
And as Renjie's story goes on, we'll see how that water-like approach helped him navigate some truly crazy times.
So, Renjie's got his plan, his team. Seems like he's got things under control.
But then, bam, he gets really sick.
Oh, no. A setback.
Now, his time's running out. So what does he do? Calls a secret meeting.
With his successors, those mini Renjie.
The inner circle. And this is where you see Renjie's thinking ahead, like 10 steps ahead.
What do you mean?
He knows he can't control what happens after he's gone, right?
Right.
But he can prepare them, like a CEO doing succession planning, but for an empire.
High stakes. So who's at this meeting?
Well, not everyone. Two guys, Jinghui and Kui Xuanwei. Good guys, but
Loose lips.
a bit. Couldn't keep a secret. And that's fascinating too, right?
Shows how much trust mattered to Renjie. Like, one wrong word could blow everything up.
Confidentiality is key, even today. Leaks, gossip.
Sink careers.
Exactly. So what's the message to this trusted few?
What does he tell them?
Two scenarios. One, smooth transition. Wu Zetian dies. Legion takes over, no problem.
The ideal outcome.
But Renjie knows it might not be that easy. Scenario two, big power struggle.
Against those who want to keep Li Shan out.
You got it. Wu Sanzi, we know about him. But also, two new players. The two Zhangs.
There are always more players. Who are these guys?
Zhang Yizi and Zhang Chengzong brothers. Gained influence over Wu Zetian in her later years.
Ah, so they're like the new favorites. This is getting complicated.
And they weren't exactly known for their ethical behavior, shall we say.
So Renjie's giving his team a heads up, like things might get ugly.
More like, here's the roadmap to what might happen, foreshadowing the chaos that's coming.
And he tells them to be ready for anything, even a coup, if it comes to that.
To protect the Tang Dynasty. Heavy stuff. Can you imagine being one of those guys?
Yeah, the weight of history on your shoulders, like being told to save your company no matter what.
And it shows how much he believed in them. They were capable, and they shared his goal. That's leadership.
So what happens next?
Renjie dies. Wu Zetian, surprisingly, she's devastated.
Really? I thought they were rivals.
Politically, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But there was respect there. She even said the court felt empty without him.
Huh. But I bet those power-hungry types saw their chance.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the two Zhanes. They became even more influential, controlling access to the Empress.
Like gatekeepers whispering in her ear.
Classic power move. And you know what that reminds me of?
What?
A story from the Qin Dynasty. This guy, Xiao Gao, he manipulated the emperor, forged documents.
I messed things up good.
Led to the dynasty's collapse. Renjie's followers, they saw the two Zhangs doing the same thing.
History repeating itself.
They feared it. And that's why the Shenlong coup wasn't just ambition, it felt necessary to them.
Like, we have to act or it'll all fall apart.
Exactly. And even Li Xian, the crown prince, he was hesitant at first.
He didn't want to go against his own mom.
It's complicated. But Renjie's guys convinced him. Action was needed.
So the coup happens, they succeed, like Tang Dynasty is restored.
Victory. But makes you think, right?
About what?
Renjie, he respected Wu Zetian, understood balance. Would he have supported a coup while she lived?
Tough question. He was loyal, but also knew the consequences.
Means versus ends. Loyalty. And how a situation changes everything.
A win, but maybe not the way Renjie would chosen.
That's leadership in a nutshell, isn't it? No easy answers, just tough choices.
Gray areas. Speaking of which, let's talk about Renjie the Divine Detective.
Ah, yes. The Sherlock Holmes of ancient China.
Everyone thinks he was this brilliant detective solving all these crazy cases.
Except there's no historical evidence for it.
Wait, seriously? So all those stories are made up?
Pretty much. It all comes from this guy, Robert van Gulik.
Who's that?
Dutchman, 20th century, loved Chinese culture, wrote a bunch of Judge Dee novels.
Based on Renjie?
Loosely. He took some old detective stories, added his own spin, and bam. Renjie the Detective was born.
So, like, fan fiction that became super famous.
Exactly. Shows how powerful a good story can be. Shapes how we see history, even if it's not accurate.
Makes you wonder, what would Renjie himself think about all this? He'd probably be like, wait, what? I didn't do any of that.
Right. But think about it. It's the detective archetype, right? Smart, solves puzzles, brings justice. People love that.
Oh, totally. And this Van Gulik guy, he knew how to write a good story, hook people in.
Oh, yeah, he was talented. Created this whole world around Renjie, even if, historically,
it wasn't quite right.
A bit of a stretch, let's say.
Yeah.
But it makes you think, would Renjie be upset? Or maybe.
Secretly flattered?
Maybe. Like, hey, even centuries later, folks are still talking about me. Maybe he'd see the connection, you know?
Between being a detective and a politician.
Yeah. Court intrigue back then. You had to observe, strategize, figure out who was lying.
Like piecing together clues.
Exactly. So we can have a laugh about the historical mix-up, but
there's still a good lesson there.
The stories we tell, they matter. They get us excited about history, make us think.
It's like sometimes a fun story teaches you more than a boring textbook. Right?
For sure. It's finding those connections that make history come alive. And isn't that what we've been doing here?
Yeah, we've seen how Renjie dealt with tough people, built a team, stuck to his values.
And those lessons, they apply to us today.
Oh yeah, it's like Renjie's giving us career advice from beyond the grave.
And beyond the detective novels, he reminds us that history, it's not just facts and dates, it's
It's the stories.
the stories we tell. The real ones, the imagined ones, all of it helps us understand the world, understand ourselves.
So wrapping up our Renjie deep dive, it's a question for everyone out there. Which Renjie is more real?
The historical figure or the one in the books? No easy answer, but hopefully it makes you think a bit.
Maybe even go check out some other historical figures, see what stories they've inspired.
That's what it's all about. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.